Meet Vivi Ravien, a wererabbit from the prestigious Ravien family. Folks in town can't help but gossip about her, spreading rumors that she hasn't transformed into a human even after her coming-of-age ceremony. The local priest even tagged it as a curse from the animal god, making matters worse. Even her own mom lays on the guilt, criticizing her for taking forever to shift into human mode. Meanwhile, her younger brother Kyrie is already strutting around as a full-fledged werhuman, and he's not even breaking a sweat. People are quick to sling insults at Vivi, branding her as a useless child and blaming the animal god for cursing her. It's not easy for her, the whispers follow her like a shadow. Everyone else in town seems to morph into a human within 3 years of birth, but Vivi's stuck in her bunny form. She's left wondering if she's being abandoned because she can't pull off the human act. Life's tough for Vivi Ravien in a town that can't stop chattering about her apparent inability to embrace her human side. Out in the wilderness, a group of folks far from Vivi's home territory huddle together, plotting some seriously shady business. They are cooking up a plan to ditch Vivi in the heart of the forest. Why, you ask? Well, they've got marching orders to make sure she becomes leopard lunch. Yep, you heard it right, they are on a mission to feed her to the leopards. Now, they've got a sneaky backup plan. The gang's aiming to snatch a herb that only grows in the territory of these mysterious black leopards. Why? It's like their golden ticket, the proof that they followed through with the leopard feast mission. Down on the forest floor, Vivi's desperation reaches a breaking point. She scrambles, practically begging on her knees, pleading not to be abandoned. Tears stream down her face, as she promises to work tirelessly to transform into a proper human. But the group, heartless and unmoved, departs without a second glance, leaving her behind to face the chilling night and the looming threat of leopards hungry for prey. In the eerie silence that follows, Vivi's sobs echo through the trees. The once familiar woods now seem like an ominous labyrinth, and the cold bites at her as she contemplates the harsh reality of being forsaken. The shadows dance around her, and the rustling leaves serve as a haunting reminder of her vulnerability. Left alone, she shivers, not just from the freezing temperature, but also from the fear that the predators of the night might be closing in. Not long after her heart-wrenching abandonment, Vivi finds herself in the company of a rather dashing guy. He's got a sword in hand, and a sleek leopard stands proudly beside him. In a low mutter, he remarks, "A baby rabbit." Terrified, Vivi, in her little bunny brain, clocks that he's a black leopard. Cue internal panic. Is she about to become dinner? She pleads to be put down, but instead of letting her go, he smirks, slyly noting her tears. Playfully, he gives her a little wiggle, teasing her about crying like it's some grand spectacle. Vivi, not exactly thrilled, questions if he's never seen a baby rabbit cry before. The guy, still grinning, cheekily tells her to let those tears flow, and just like that, the bewildered Vivi Ravien finds herself setting paw in the mysterious black leopard territory. Waking up on this massive bed, Vivi's all kinds of confused, trying to piece together where she is. The last thing she recalls is losing consciousness, and now she's pondering the mysterious circumstances that brought her to this place. The question of whether she's about to be someone's dinner starts haunting her thoughts. Summoning a bit of courage, she decides it's time to channel her inner escape artist. She figures, hey, breaking something might be worth it if it means getting out of whatever predicament she's in. As she takes the leap, attempting a bed exit maneuver, she's suddenly snatched midair by none other than the black leopard. Now caught in the claws of her would-be predator, Vivi's bracing for the worst. But surprise! The leopard starts wondering aloud why Lord Manant would just leave this little rabbit sprawled out on the bed, considering how perilous it is. With Vivi now dangling in the grasp of this black leopard, he hits her with the casual small talk, asking where she's from. And in that moment, it's like a light bulb flickers in Vivi's bunny brain. Different leopard alert. But here's the kicker. 66 realizes she can't exactly spill the beans because, well, she's got a language barrier problem. She attempts to communicate, but all that comes out are adorable rabbit squeaks. Leopard guy, catching onto her mute situation, chuckles and drops her unceremoniously onto a pillow on the floor. His reasoning: the floor is apparently the VIP zone, safer than the grand bed. Leopard etiquette, you know. He then dishes out the newsflasher that Viv is now in the clutches of Lord Manant. No negotiations. She's officially part of the leopard posse. As Vivi is trying to wrap her bunny brain around the situation, she's hit with a new titled Lady Rabbit. Now, she's not just a rabbit, she's got a fancy title. The confusion is real, and she's on the brink of a bunny identity crisis. Leopard guy, however, seems to have his own script. He enlightens her that, thanks to Lord Manant's VIP invitation into his bedroom, she must be something truly special. In Vivi's world, this revelation doesn't scream VIP instead, it's more like a front-row ticket to a comedy show. In her mind, Vivi hilariously decodes the situation, thinking she's some sort of very special emergency feed. In the room with the physician, Ibrin gets the scoop on Vivi's condition. The doc reassures him she fainted from shock, but her pulse is steady, so no need to worry. Ibrin, relieved, cracks a joke about the disaster it would be if Lord Manant chomped down on a sick rabbit. Crisis averted. Then, Ibrin's curiosity kicks in. He asks the physician if there's more to Vivi's situation. Could she be a were-human briefly turned rabbit? He noticed signs of intelligence earlier, she seemed to understand him. There's something about her that doesn't scream ordinary rabbit. The physician spills the news to Ibrin, mentioning he hasn't picked up any were-human vibes from Vivi. Plus, it's been a hot minute since Lord Manant brought her in. If she were a were-human, she'd have done the shape-shifting dance by now. Ever the ponderer, Ibrin floats the idea that maybe she's a were-child who's still figuring out the whole transformation gig. But the physician squashes that notion, explaining that were-humans usually swap into human mode within 3 years of birth. And those tiny tots can't move as nimbly as our bunny friend here. Meanwhile, sly as a fox, Viv is eavesdropping on this whole conversation, pretending to be knocked out. Inside her bunny brain, she's having a revelation. Maybe she goofed by letting Ibrin in on her little secret of understanding human talk. Now she's pondering a strategic move. Should she spill the were-human beans in hopes they'll cut her some slack and set her free? With scholars. But Viv has got more on her mind than just cozying up to academics. If they catch wind that she's a were-human struggling to put on her human suit, there's a looming fear they might scoop her up for some scholarly experimentation. As Ibrin and the physician continue their chit-chat, the doc throws a curveball, asking if Lord Manant spilled the beans about whether he brought her in for a cozy dinner. Ibrin shoots back with a nonchalant nope, but he's got this gut feeling about Lord Manant's true intentions. Dinner might not be the main course. The physician, having shared his medical wisdom, decides to make a swift exit. No lingering small talk, just a casual, I'm done here vibe. Ibrin decides to play the wake-up card with a hint of humor, telling Vivi that he's noticing some twitching eyelids, not exactly a promising sign if she wants to avoid becoming an appetizer. He even throws in the options of stew or grilled, just to spice things up. In a bunny blur, she springs to attention. With the drama unfolding, Ibrin, perhaps feeling a bit guilty for the breakfast banter, finally gets around to introducing himself. Turns out, he's not just any leopard, he's Lord Manant's right-hand guy, and he's the mastermind behind Vivi's sudden leap into this leopard-laden household. Lord Ibrin, at her service. Now, here comes the kicker. Ibrin can't wrap his head around the fact that Vivi, a seemingly ordinary-looking rabbit, is actually tuned into human speech. Initially thinking she might be a god in animal form, he's taken aback by the whole situation. But in his eyes, she's still rocking the unremarkable vibe. In walks Lord Manant, and Ibrin greets him, Vivi cradled in his leopard hands. Lord Manant, not too thrilled to find Ibrin lurking in his room, questions the leopard's presence. Ibrin, ever the smooth talker, explains he was just following orders to assist the lady rabbit. Lord Manant, cutting straight to the chase, inquires if Ibrin checked if Viv is one of those elusive were-humans. Iberin, having consulted with the doc, spills the tea that it's a negative on the werhuman front. But here's the curveball: Lord casually drops the bomb that he's planning to feast on Vivi tomorrow. Ever the culinary critic, Iberin suggests grilled rabbit for breakfast, and Lord seems to vibe with the idea. Iberin, sealing the deal with a bow, declares he's off. As night settles in, Lord takes his beauty sleep right next to Vivi. In the quiet of the night, she's left with her thoughts, contemplating the seemingly impossible escape from this leopard-infested territory. Even if she managed a Houdini move, survival would be a whole new challenge in this black leopard domain. And to top it off, going back home isn't even an option. Her family wanted to ditch her, curse or no curse, for bringing shame to the family name. Glancing at the sleeping Lord Vivi's rabbit brain takes an unexpected turn. Despite the scary exterior, she admires his pretty face. It's a bizarre mix of thoughts: terror at the situation, but also a sliver of gratitude that he hasn't made her a leopard snack yet. In this peculiar moment, Vivi acknowledges the thin line between survival and the unknown. Lord may be a tad intimidating, but in this wild rollercoaster, he's the reason she's still breathing. In the quiet night, Vivi contemplates Lord wondering if, maybe, he's the unlikely hero in this wild tale. Almost on the verge of reaching out to touch his face, she's interrupted by his sudden awakening. Panicking, she dives under her pillow, as if it's a rabbit fortress. Lord ever the practical one, warns her about suffocating under there. Raising the pillow, he catches Vivi in the act of shedding a few quiet tears. The unexpected conversation takes a turn, as he bluntly asks if she's scared of being his dinner. Nodding vigorously, Vivi admits her fear. Rather than instilling comfort, Lord urges her to cry even more. Confused and trying to squeeze out more tears, Vivi resorts to rubbing her face, but the waterworks are on strike. Lord the unconventional motivational speaker, claims she lacks resolve and drops the bomb: he's planning to munch on her in a couple of days, so she better try harder. As if to add to the peculiar vibes, Lord scoops her up and deposits her inside his shirt, with a firm "stop moving, it's annoying." The next day dawns, and Lord preps for his day out. Meanwhile, Vivi finds herself in the care of a lady named Mamie, who claims she's on babysitting duty as per the young master's request. Sounds legit, right? Vivi and Mamie dive into their day's agenda: a grand tour around the manor, bath time for Vivi, yes, even wererabbits need a scrub, mealtime with all the gourmet rabbit treats, and a leisurely stroll in the garden. But hold on, as they approach the entrance, Vivi's bunny senses tingle with a glimmer of escape. In a bold move, she spots what seems like her ticket to freedom. With a burst of determination, she makes a run for it, only to be met by a surprise. A dagger, out of nowhere, lands right in front of her, sending her tumbling. As she hits the ground, she's left to wonder where on earth did that dagger come from, and who's throwing cutlery into her escape plan. As Mamie retrieves the dagger, she scoops up Vivi, emphasizing the danger lurking beyond the estate walls. With a puzzled look, Vivi gazes at Mamie, and casually comments on the weirdness of the people around. Fast forward to the evening, and Lord makes a dramatic return, looking a bit worse for wear. Bloodstains splatter his outfit, leaving Vivi's curious bunny brain in overdrive. The air is thick with questions: what in the world happened out there? And why is Lord bearing the scars of an eventful day? In a dramatic scene, Lord peels off his shirt, revealing wounds that make Vivi shoot him a pity-filled look. It's clear he's taken a beating, and Vivi doesn't hold back on the sympathy. Cue the entrance of Iberin, accompanied by the doctor, who jumps straight into detective mode. Iberin questions if it was a werewolf that did this to Lord The revelation unfolds: they used some tricky sense to paralyze him. Iberin, not one to take things lying down, suggests sending corpses to the werewolf territory, but he's got a gut feeling they'll plead innocence. Lord with a steely resolve, fires back: send 30 of their own, and while they are at it, why not take out the head honcho from the werewolf hierarchy? With the doctor wrapping up, he casually mentions he'll be back by morning. As the medical matters settle, Lord Ahin notices Vivi lingering in the room. Oberon, ever the observant one, chimes in, noting how quiet and remarkably intelligent she's been. A trait, he points out, that's expected since he's the one who brought her. Now, Lord Ahin, caught in the web of confusion, turns to Oberon for answers. How does this whole bringing an intelligent rabbit thing work? Oberon, in his typical mysterious fashion, simply states, that's just how it is. Not exactly a detailed manual, but hey, who needs one? With a beckoning gesture, Lord Ahin calls Vivi closer, and with a swift pickup, he declares that she's way too smart to be your run-of-the-mill rabbit. Just as the compliments are flowing, Oberon re-enters the scene, injecting a dose of reality. He points out that, despite Vivi's intelligence, there are still too many uncertainties about her existence to label her a werhuman. Curiosity in the air, Lord Ahin probes Oberon about the fate of those forest troublemakers. Oberon spills the beans, ordered the retrieval, but the black leopards beat them to it, leaving a grisly scene. As the conversation wraps up, Lord Ahin casually pokes Vivi's head and dismisses Oberon. Soon, he's retreated to his bed, Vivi still cradled in his hand. Seemingly out of the blue, Vivi, with a twinge of concern, questions what went down with the werewolves. Cue Lord Ahin's dramatic moment. He opens his eyes, lifts her up, and proceeds to take a curious sniff. A terrified Vivi demands an explanation, to which he nonchalantly reveals he caught a whiff of pheromones from her neck. As Lord Ahin senses Vivi's heartbeat, he muses aloud, throwing out the idea that maybe she's an anomaly. Covering her with the sheets, he reflects on how things might have played out differently with those unfortunate fellows in the forest if she had been present. Left to her own ponderings, Vivi can't help but wonder what's churning in Lord Ahin's enigmatic mind. The sun rises on a new day, and there's Lord Ahin, knee-deep in some serious training. In walks Oberon, the voice of reason, suggesting a temporary hiatus from the sweat and swings. He drops the bomb. Werewolf raids are spiking up, and the attacks on Lord Ahin, the chief's heir, are riding the wave. Oberon, playing the concerned friend, lays it out. Too much training, especially after yesterday's brawl, is a recipe for disaster. But Lord Ahin, ever the resilient one, cuts him off. He's all healed up from that scrape yesterday, and as far as he's concerned, it's game on. The tension is palpable in the training grounds, as Lord Ahin stands determined to face the challenges ahead, even if it means pushing his limits. Oberon, always the keen observer, marvels at the miraculous disappearance of last night's injury. Lord Ahin, acknowledging the quick turnaround, confirms that, indeed, the wound has vanished without a trace. It's like a black leopard magic trick, only the real deal. In the midst of this medical mystery, Lord Ahin tasks Oberon with a new mission. He wants the leopard detective to dive into the rabbit aristocratic families in the territory, a little investigative expedition. The goal? Find out if any of these high-class bunnies have gone MIA or met an untimely end. In the serene garden, a curious woman approaches Mamie, questioning if Vivi is the rabbit Lord Ahin scooped up. Mamie, confirming the identity, nods in agreement. The woman, fueled by the rumor mill, excitedly mentions the divine powers associated with this particular rabbit, a chatty bunny, no less. Vivi's eyes widen, processing the unexpected twist in her reputation. Mamie, with a touch of caution, steps in to clarify that the rumors might be a tad exaggerated. While Vivi does understand some human speech, she's not quite the mythical figure the stories might suggest. The woman, however, seems undeterred, insisting there must be some truth to the tales. With a glint of curiosity, the woman expresses a desire to have a private chat with Vivi, prompting Mamie to gracefully bow out and excuse herself. After about 10 days in Lord Ahin's territory, Vivi finally crosses paths with the head honcho, Ahin's mother. The grand introduction begins with a peculiar request. She asks for Vivi's hand, then her foot, and commands her to sit. With these odd instructions checked off, the lady of the house pats Vivi, proclaiming her adorable. But oh, the twist in the tale comes as she casually acknowledges why Hin finds joy in raising his emergency feed, none other than Vivi herself. Suddenly, the gravity of her role sinks in for Vivi. Trembling, she thinks of the time about her days spent with Mamie, the occasional annoyance from Iberin, and the nightly torments from Lord Hin. It all comes to a head, as she confesses the inevitable fate awaiting her, to be fattened up and served on a silver platter when things get tough. In her eyes, she's just a baby rabbit in their world, and there seems to be no way around it. With a touch of advice wrapped in an ominous tone, the woman cautions Vivi against being overly nice to a hin. The reasoning: predators, when bored, tend to shift from playful to predatory in the blink of an eye. It's survival advice, wrapped in the harsh reality of life in this territory. The woman's attention then pivots as she claims to detect a faint scent of pheromones from Vivi, though it vanishes just as quickly. As the day winds down, Vivi finds herself alone in bed, lost in contemplation. With thoughts swirling about her peculiar existence, a spark of hope ignites. Maybe, just maybe, she can still unlock the mystery of turning into a human. Determined, she focuses intensely, attempting the transformation. However, her concentration is abruptly disrupted by the entrance of a hin. Confusion paints his face as he observes Vivi's peculiar behavior. Sensing his presence, she lies down, face turned away, trying to conceal her unsuccessful attempt. A hin, seemingly indifferent to her magical endeavors, breaks the news. Werewolves, the perennial troublemakers, have launched another attack, leaving him injured. Pointing to his wounds, he reveals the aftermath of the skirmish. As Vivi turns to face him, he throws a challenge her way: if she's not going to make things better, what's the point? In response to Lord Hin's question about making him feel better, Vivi shakes her head in the negative. Swiftly, he picks her up with his mouth wide open, expressing his dissatisfaction with a rabbit who can't fulfill this particular role in his life. Caught in the literal jaws of a dilemma, Vivi struggles, prompting Lord Hin to question if she's had a change of heart. In response, she nods, signaling a shift in her decision. Seizing the opportunity, he instructs her to carry on. Now faced with the task, Vivi contemplates her options. After a moment of consideration, she tentatively approaches, and in a surprising turn of events, licks his face. Lord Hin, taken aback, questions if that's the extent of her contribution. Days roll by, and Vivi finds herself sharing meals with Lord Hin's mother. Initially wary, she's now accustomed to this peculiar dining routine. In a surprising twist, Lady Valence Grace showers Vivi with compliments, praising how adorable she looks when nibbling on her meals. The awkwardness that once lingered between them has slowly given way to familiarity, and Lady Valence Grace goes a step further, applauding Vivi for her eating habits. In a moment of formality, Lady Valence Grace decides it's high time for a proper introduction. With a touch of elegance, she reveals her name, Valence Grace. In an unexpected turn of events during their meal, Valence Grace leans in and imparts a curious instruction to Vivi. She advises her to hold her breath and visualize pressing down on all her blood vessels. Intrigued, Vivi follows the guidance, and soon enough, her body begins to ache with the strange exercise. Surprisingly, Valence Grace offers a compliment for Vivi's performance and encourages her to remember the sensations she experienced. The following day, Iberin, Lord Hin, and Vivi find themselves cramped inside a carriage. The atmosphere takes an unexpected turn as they drop a bombshell on Vivi. She has until tomorrow to defeat a doll, or she's on the menu. In an attempt to rise to the challenge, Vivi takes swings at the doll, but her efforts are met with Lord Hin's laughter. He mockingly points out her short legs, tagging her with the nickname Chubby Bunny. Iberin, stepping into the dynamics, warns Lord Hin about the potential consequences of his teasing, suggesting that Vivi might end up harboring some serious resentment. He spills the beans about the morning shocker, Lord Hin playfully placing her on a plate during breakfast. The revelation leaves Vivi glaring at him with eyes filled with unmistakable animosity. In the midst of their peculiar carriage ride, Lord Manant throws a surprising twist into the mix. He confesses that he actually prefers the fiery look in Vivi's eyes when she despises him. Manant, adding to the banter, encourages Vivi to continue disliking Lord Manant to her heart's content. Unfazed, Lord Manant states that he likes it, relishing the feeling of his heart racing. As the carriage continues its journey, Vivi takes a moment to reflect. It dawns on her that this is the first time she's ventured out in such a way, and the close-up view of the outside world leaves her in awe. In a playful gesture, Manant lifts her up, asking if she'd like an even better view. Vivi expresses sheer amazement at the sights before her. It's a stark contrast to what she had encountered in books, or how others had painted the picture for her. The experience sparks a dream in her, wondering if, one day, she might explore the world on her own. As the carriage draws closer to the city, Lord Manant makes an unexpected move. He picks up Vivi and places her gently inside his pocket. Confined within this peculiar space, Vivi finds herself pondering the purpose of this journey, and why they had to travel such a distance. The anticipation builds as they arrive, and Vivi, tucked away in Manant's pocket, remains in the dark about their destination. Suddenly, the temple comes into view, and a shiver runs down Vivi's spine. Vivi's been having daily lessons with Valence Grace to learn how to control pheromones and maybe turn into a human someday. After one of these sessions, Valence Grace hands her a big book and asks if she can read. Vivi nods, and Valence Grace gives the book to Mamie, saying it has useful stuff inside for Vivi to read whenever she wants. Vivi is in her room, nose deep in the book about pheromones. It's like a treasure trove of information. Suddenly, Lord Manant bursts into the room with Manant in tow. However, instead of a usual reaction, Manant breaks into uncontrollable laughter. He's genuinely tickled by the sight of a little rabbit engrossed in reading. Manant tries to tone down the laughter, worried that it might upset Vivi, but Manant can't seem to contain himself. Laughter echoes in the room as Vivi looks up, a bit bewildered by the unexpected amusement caused by her simple act of reading. One day, Vivi happily hops around the area while Mamie watches. She notices Valence and Manant seeming busy, making her wonder if something is wrong. Suddenly, a new guy with golden eyes shows up and picks Vivi up. At first, Vivi is amazed, but as soon as she sees his fangs, she starts wriggling to get free. Confused, she looks at Mamie, who stays silent. Vivi can't help but wonder where this guy came from. The guy takes a whiff of Vivi and wonders aloud why the scent of black leopards is so strong on her. Mamie quickly apologizes, addressing him as Lord Manant, and asks him kindly to put Vivi down. Just then, Manant walks in, and to Vivi's surprise, she becomes teary with happiness at the sight of him. Lord Manant expresses surprise, remarking that he didn't expect Manant to have a pet rabbit. After gently placing her down, Vivi seeks comfort behind Manant. Manant, amused, questions when Manant took up such an unexpected hobby. Manant, picking Vivi up, comments on her having the scent of a lion all over her. Frustrated, she mumbles about not fitting in anywhere. Manant, teasingly, asks if she wants to go to the lions. She vehemently shakes her head, and he playfully suggests the lion might eat her. As Vivi squirms, Manant tells her to plead for mercy if she wants to stay alive. Manant comments that it seems she prefers a filthy lion over him. Manant, feigning a sad expression, protests, insisting it can't be true. With a touch of humor, he accuses her of cheating on him, adding that polygamy is against the rules in the black leopard territory. With that, he then leaves with her. Later that evening, Manant, visibly upset, yanks off his tie, grumbling about it smelling like a lion. The mention of Lord Manant as a troublemaker stirs irritation in him. Just then, Manant walks in, presenting the report Manant had requested on the aristocrats in the rabbit territory. Manant reports that there's no missing aristocrat or noble's child among them. Manant, with a smirk, concludes that she's indeed a suspicious rabbit. Manant, contemplating the situation, suggests that maybe she's not a werhuman, but some unknown creature. Ahin, lost in thought, reflects on having smelled pheromones on her, connecting it to his mother's interest in the rabbit. Iberin, determined, decides he'll personally question her about her identity. Ahin, cautioning him, predicts that she might truly come to hate him if he presses too hard. He also reminds Iberin about the torn book incident from the other day. Reading the report and absorbing its contents, Ahin mutters to himself, deducing that she's a discarded pawn in some larger scheme. Feeling a surge of protective instinct, he quickly contacts Iberin, instructing him that if anyone comes looking for a rabbit, he should take decisive action and eliminate them. The scene transitions to Mamie tenderly cleaning Vivi with a towel, expressing apologies for not being able to assist her earlier. She explains that whenever negotiations are needed with the lion's territory, they send Lord Manant, a high-ranking lion representative. As a common servant, she's not allowed to interfere with someone of his stature. Mamie suggests that on the days he visits their estate, they might consider skipping their strolls. Vivi, understanding the situation, nods in agreement. Later, Ahin casually asks Vivi if she still smells like a lion. Annoyed, she shoots him a furious look, prompting him to inquire if she's skipped her bath. Iberin interjects, suggesting it might be time to give her an actual name since she's been with them for a month now. Surprised, Ahin questions the idea of a name, to which Iberin explains that everyone just refers to her as Lady Rabbit, so perhaps an official name would be fitting. Ahin playfully considers options, rolling her over while she complains about feeling dizzy in her rabbit language. He then jokingly pokes her, and decides a name isn't necessary after all. Ahin is convinced that she must already have a name. Iberin bids them good night and takes his leave. Ahin then scoops up Vivi, who shoots him an angry glare. With a mischievous grin, Ahin reminds her of his previous warning about wanting to gobble her up when she glares like that. Playfully, he drops her into a bowl of ink, teasingly instructing her to write her name. Vivi freezes, perplexed by Ahin's request. How could he possibly expect her to write her name? Ahin explains that naming a pet can create a stronger bond, implying that knowing her name might prolong her life. Vivi hesitantly attempts to write her name, finding it more challenging than expected. Ahin takes the paper from her, still smiling, and calls out her name. Playfully, he picks her up and opens his mouth wide, causing her to squirm with uncertainty. Ahin reassures her to stay still, explaining that he's going to eliminate the lion stench. Vivi's body weakens as she contemplates whether the scent is from Ahin's pheromones, finding it somewhat suffocating in this intriguing moment. Later that night, Vivi wonders if she might have drifted off to sleep. Gazing at Ahin, she remarks to herself how handsome he looks when he's asleep. Feeling a surge of affection, she uses her human-like hands to gently stroke his face. If you're eager for the next chapter, drop a comment expressing your interest in a part 2. Your comments help gauge the demand for the continuation of the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification